is Majo John Madden, broadcasting from El Damiante, Mexico in Veracruz State. I am back behind the restaurant where I've been hanging out for about 17 days because my car broke down here and it's being worked on. I've gotten to know the people around the restaurant. It's an extraordinary extended family who, some of them live in the hotel. One family lives in the hotel, that red building up there, right behind the restaurant, and that's why there's a great Wi-Fi in the restaurant, why it's been so good for me to post stuff. And some of them live in this building right behind me here. And then a third nuclear family lives in another building back there. And I have, over the course of 18 or 19 days, become kind of a part of the family, and they don't mind me coming back here. It's so quiet and peaceful back here, as you'll be seeing. And ironically, out in front of the hotel and the restaurant, there's a road that's quieter now, but it is a carretera. It's an interstate road through Mexico, which is one of the best paved roads, because some of the carreteras are quite terrible. But it gets a lot of traffic going from north to south and back, all the way into Central America. So it can be quite noisy because there's speed bumps. There's no stoplight, but there's speed bumps, and the trucks will grind to a halt to manage those speed bumps, and then grind their gears to get back going again. So when I want to shoot a video, I come back here. And the family that lives in this house are hanging out here still. I was kind of waiting for them to get done, but I think they're going to be hanging out here, so you may hear some chatter in the background or even people going by. Cattle out there. I went for an extraordinarily long walk today. The mountains do rise up. One of the things I've been amazed with in Mexico is that I thought I wouldn't be seeing mountains because I'm heading for the ocean, but the mountains, the Sierra Madre Oriental, the eastern range of the Sierra Madre Mountains, come right up by the ocean here. And in my long walk today, I did some extraordinary climbing and really got up into the mountains a little bit. So I'm kind of beat, but peaceful. And I'm in the process of signing off of Facebook and really wanting completion on it. Here comes this horse coming this way. I wonder why he's coming this way. Part of getting so close to this family has been to get really close to the 3-year-old. And one of the things I say about Mexico is that the children are not systematically taught to be afraid of strangers like they are in the U.S. And as a result, the children are shockingly available and real to meet with you. And it stays that way into adulthood. Mexicans are shockingly real compared with Americans, honestly. It's a tendency, it's not in all cases, but I see it again and again. And even had a, ooh, look at this. Isn't this great? Wow. A 17-year-old girl who was middle class. She had money, but the way she said it was, well, you know, when we hang out with our U.S. counterparts of our age, they're not really much fun. They're pretty boring because they're kind of stiff and controlled compared with us, who wear our emotions on our sleeves, and what you see is what you get. So getting so close to the 3-year-old has been wonderful and painful for me, because a trauma that I'm still working through is that my son, who was close to me through his late teen years, has in adulthood told the story of his life to one where I was never there for him and never tried and never loved him, only cared about myself, which is so far away from the truth. People who watched me father him from afar, and that's the deal. He has lots of trauma from Dad not being there because I was in another city, and he hasn't healed it. He just never has tried, really, to heal it. Never gotten therapy or anything. So he's not letting me have anything. I spent the whole summer of 21 in Louisville, Kentucky, pitching to him with no success at all. And finally, he never did allow me to see my 2 grandkids. So the last I saw the older grandchild, who's 8 now, she was 3. And a few nights ago, I was sitting on a stoop in front of the hotel with the 3-year-old here, who's so amazing and loves to just grab me by the shirt and drag me around. And they all pronounce my name John. So she says, John, and she drags me around. And it was so lovely and perfect, and I already know her lots better than my son ever let me get to know my granddaughter. So I left the restaurant and walked in front of that hedgerow over there, between the hedgerow and the road, and just bawled my eyes out, getting some of the final trauma out about all that. And there's a donkey that lives, there's a little parcel of land, a little sliver of land in the woods there, and the donkey lives there. And he came from the far end directly towards me and took me on as a project. He was going to offer his healing energy to me. And because he was so there, I started to really bawl. And he let out with his loud donkey, really showed up for me, and we had about a 30-minute love fest, and we've had 2 more since. So being with the beings has been really good for me. As part of finishing my process of signing off of Facebook, I am feeling a need to tell one more time the story of me and Jubilee and Facebook, because the friends who used to love me at Jubilee, I was an incredibly popular poet there, and hate me now, it's mostly because I'm such a truth teller, and after 30 years of being misdiagnosed as bipolar and taking terrible meds, on June 26th, we're just past the anniversary of 2019, I had a waking up experience, and part of the deal was life saying to me, you have to commit yourself to telling the truth more than you ever have, be willing to endure people's disapproval of you more than you ever have, and just get courageous. And then to help me with that, life sent me 3 big tests. One was with the shutdown of Earth Fair, which I loved so much and had just recently left. I got to be the leader of the revolution there. These horses. A second, oh, isn't that gorgeous? Wow, I've not seen that before. That's really great. A second was when a racist neighbor insulted my black friend who I had taken in as a roommate. And my friend Eric was a fighter and needed not to fight that guy. And I never was a fighter, but life said, you do it. You do it. It's the only way to handle this. Eric needs not to go to jail. He's got a big gig at the White Horse Black Mountain this weekend, opening for Abby the Spoon Lady. So neither of us, Eric did not believe I could do that, and I didn't have anything in my history to suggest I could do it, but I knew I could, and I knew I was called to do it. So I didn't turn out to be the world's greatest fighter, but I did land a punch, and it was all it took. And it was incredibly transformative to me to not back down because I was scared. So those were 2. The third was Jubilee, because in that same period of several months between when I woke up in June of 2019 and when I left Asheville at the end of March, because the COVID had shut Asheville down, that's the period when Amy got fired, Amy Steinberg from Jubilee. And I had never been close friends with her, but I was one of her biggest supporters, and somebody who totally believed in her because her music, I believe, is divinely inspired. There's a mystical quality to her spiritual music that heals me to this day. But during the period where she was our minister, I was drinking very deeply of her music. I said to her one day, Amy, you're not my teacher, but your muse is my teacher, that music. And she said, mine too. I don't regard myself as a mystic, but I think she is when she channels that music. So I was pretty mad when she got fired. And I think I'm not going to tell the whole story. I'm just going to say, if you want to see it, it's all on Facebook. Because when she was fired, I went to Facebook and recited my poem Too Much, because it was quite clear to me that she got fired because she was too much for people, too raw, too real, too much not the ministerial persona. When she was angry, she looked and sounded angry. She talked about her sexuality. She was the real deal in a way that Jubilee was not used to, and that the inner circle couldn't take. But that hundreds of us thrilled to every Sunday, and she had that place so inspired, so inspired. So I took to Facebook that Monday after the whitewash. I call it the Great Whitewash. And I took to Facebook a year later when the smugness of the people who had conspired to fire her and got to gloat when now they own Jubilee. I couldn't take it, so I did it once more. And then about a year ago, I'm not close friends with Amy, and I did talk to her the night she had been fired. We did a FaceTime talk at 1 a.m. from our respective beds. I didn't even know where she lived. I still don't know where she lives. But I called her a year ago to say, Amy, I'm going to take one more pass at it, because those folks are still so smug and wanting to believe that nothing bad happened. Nothing to see here, folks. And she answered the phone, I think because I had a new number. And we had an amazing conversation, and she told me that she still in Asheville feels the need to put on an extra layer of character armor when she goes out in public, because the mystery never, the Jubilee board never said why they were firing her. It always got left mysterious. And she said, what do they think of me out there in the community of Asheville? What awful things do they think I did? So I rolled up my sleeves, and when people in the inner circle of Jubilee said to me, why are you doing all this destructive stuff? Is there anything positive? What is the positive thing you're trying to do? And I said, I'm trying to clear Amy's name. And if it means telling secrets, I know, and I did know stuff about her closest associates and how they had turned against her and plotted against her. I did know how Howard was involved in the plot. I did know how Genevieve was incredibly cruel, and people revealed their true hypocrisy in the name of being a nice, sweet church. People had such vile stuff they did to her, and it never got finished. So I tried one last time to finish it, and to this day, people have not forgiven me for it. But that's what life has handed me. I got inspired by Brene Brown, who I call the wise woman for our time, who says that her social science research shows that the quality that's most connected with emotional health is open-heartedness, and that's obvious, but that the quality that's most directly correlated with that is solid boundaries, the ability to say no, the ability to be tough. And life has shaped me up around that one. I'm pretty much there, and continuing to get situations where life says, okay, here's the way to be tough here. So I'm happy. I'm living out my dream to be in Mexico. It's been a dream for a long time. Not all of it has been easy, but it's wonderful. And getting off of Facebook for a year was really good for me. I got back on Facebook for about 6 weeks because my Mexican phone plan was making it hard to get on TikTok and YouTube and easy to get on Facebook. So I did it, but Now I'm done. I'm not liking Facebook much. Today is day 1 of Threads. Have you heard about Threads? It's, ironically, I don't like Facebook, but Meta, the parent company, has launched today their Twitter clone. And it's getting lots of buzz. People saying this could be the final death knell for Twitter, which I also am off these days because I couldn't tolerate the way Elon Musk treats his workers. I was a management consultant for a long time. I couldn't patronize a company that did that. Chickens coming to visit. Nice. And I think I'll just sit here and relax for a while and get quiet and visit with the chickens. Ain't nobody here but us chickens, huh? I do have a really fun post on YouTube and Twitter called Pollos in el Restaurante, where the chickens at a quiet time had kind of taken over the restaurant. It's just a few minute video, but it's pretty funny. Okay, great, thanks.